benevolent, intelligent Mr. Donnie Wonderful, alongside the taunting tribal chief, the vexatious verbal villain himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joey Business.
How you doing?
And his dog Brady, who's
always making an appearance.
Always making an appearance. And we are right on the cusp, or fresh off the cusp of the Elimination Chamber 2022 in Saudi Arabia. That's right. You know what? The dog. That's how we feel.
That's how we feel right now. Absolutely.
That's exactly how we feel.
My dog is beating the shit out of these pillows.
And listen, he's inspired off of what he just sees.
Good Lord. This is impromptu, and we're keeping it in.
Absolutely. Hey, listen. This is a live post reaction. And right now, the dog is really going to town on the pillows.
And then he's like, "No fucks given." He's like, "I'm done with you."
Kind of like the winner of the men.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Again. So we just watched Saudi Mania 7, I think it was, and I have to be honest with you. Going through it as we were watching it, I'm like, this can't be a Saudi show. This is good. Like, it was really good for the most part. So
and let me add some context.
Absolutely, add some color.
It's exactly. I felt the same way because we sat here 3 weeks ago maybe for the Royal Rumble and said, man, this
virtually
this is virtually
yes.
This pay-per-view is a drag.
Yep.
And then 3 weeks before that, or 4 weeks before that, we sat here together.
For day one.
And day one, it said, this feels like a Raw.
Yeah, agreed.
So to have a show sequenced as well as it was today, as far as like the offerings and the order of the matches, you know, like I really, this, if they would have let off day one like this, I would have been more optimistic about WWE's offerings of pay-per-views.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think, but with that being said, I mean, I think there's no other place to go. They have to excel because the next pay-per-view is WrestleMania.
They gotta bring it. They gotta swing home. And I don't think there's any breaks or pay-per-views for the 42 days left for WrestleMania. I don't think they're gonna do like a, what is it called, Roadblock or whatever. Yeah, whatever those bullshit pay-per-views. I don't think they're gonna do any of those. Which I hope they don't, but it'll be interesting. So, speaking of interesting, the first match that kicked off the show...
There was no pre-show, by the way.
There was no pre-show, so we were very happy on that. Was for the Universal Championship, which, you know, you knew it was going to be a short night for Goldberg when he starts off the show and hits his plane early. It was Roman versus Goldberg, the match we were supposed to get 2 years ago.
At 35.
36. No, 36, because 35 was the women's.
Right.
So 36, Pandemic Mania. We were supposed to get Roman versus Goldberg, which back then I was all for it. There was a build to it, spear versus spear. There was a lot of intrigue. And also, Roman wasn't this character at this point. He wasn't this iteration of Roman Reigns.
Right.
So he was, you know, very much not the suffering succotash guy, but like in between that and now.
It's my yard now.
Yeah, and so it was believable, and I was like, okay, that's cool. This time around, you're like, Roman is a juggernaut. He's unbeatable. He's paved through the entire roster 1.5 times at this point. So they're bringing everything out to beat him, but you knew Goldberg wasn't going to be the one.
Right.
And you shouldn't have Goldberg be the one. He wrestles one match a year. He's a part-timer. He's no longer got the step that he had. But I will say this. Having said that, I'm going to contradict myself because I feel like this is his best match back.
In Saudi Arabia?
Well, best match in Saudi Arabia, period, for sure. Because he's had some terrible ones. But this is his best match since him versus Brock at Mania in Orlando.
Okay. Ooh, who versus Brock?
Goldberg versus Brock.
Okay. And that was probably the greatest 5 to 7 minute match.
I love that match.
You know, like just nothing but slam spots, and that was pretty good. I feel like you do, and I thought that this was really just a showcase.
Yeah,
a showcase deal. You're gonna bring Goldberg. Goldberg's the name, and apparently the Saudi crowd just
loves him.
We're still
not as much as they love AJ Styles, though.
But the jury's out whether or not that was the actual crowd chants or piped-in crowd noise.
That was not the actual crowd.
I'm gonna leave it. So Vince, when you hear this, Donnie Wonderful is actually siding on your side.
Yeah, I'm not Vince. But whatever. I
yeah.
mean, the crowd was still hype. You could see hands in the air all the time, unless there was a sign on the other side that said "Wave your hands." Like they were into it. They had a lot more energy than the typical, I'll have to say, American crowd. So it was nice.
Yes, it was slow pace, and we joked. We said, all right, so the entrances are going to take about 15 minutes, but the actual match, the over under was 7 minutes. So it probably met right there 7 minutes, and I knew we knew that there was going to be spears and holds and going through stuff, and there wasn't a barricade spot. There was a table spot.
There was a table spot, but it wasn't even. It was booked very well for what it was, and Roman looked really good with the finish. But Goldberg didn't come off weak. It was his better showing. He wasn't dragging ass. It was, power moves and transition. But it was really well done for a short book match. And the entrances were about 15 minutes between the two of them. Easily 15 minutes. Roman's alone was 10 or 12 minutes. It was long.
Okay, so I have a question for you, the Taunton Tribal Chief.
Sure.
Explain to us why you rated what you rated it.
A 2?
Yes.
So I rated it a 2 because it opened the show.
Ain't that right, Brady?
It opened the show, and I have gotten into this thing where I don't like to give a really high rating for the first match because I feel like I'm setting the bar too much. But if I had to go back retrospectively, I would change it to a 3 because it was really well done, and I feel like it's deserving of a 3. But I had higher hopes for the rest of the pay-per-view.
By the way, in case anybody's listening for the first time, our rating system goes with the 1 count, 2 count, 3 count.
And then I make up the rest.
Yeah, and then, we pretty much, it's very what we call it?
Bipolar rating, yeah.
It's bipolar rating by bipolar booking. So a 1 count could actually be really good, even though that's the bottom of the scale. And then, if you listen to some of our other episodes, Joey's rated things 5 counts.
I've never rated a 5 count, but a 4 or 5 I think I rated something.
The King Kong Bundy count, but
yeah.
But please, proceed. A 2 count.
There's really not too much meat and potatoes of this match. It was about, I would say, 7 minutes. We might be wrong about a minute, give or take. But it was well done. It wasn't anything that was, you knew Roman was never truly in peril, especially when it was booked first. I was like, okay, this is just to get it out of the way. There was no shocking anything.
Right.
Goldberg even said and alluded to it before the match in various news outlets that this might be his last match. So it didn't have any real intrigue to it. It was just kind of like, okay, get Roman paid, get Bill paid, put on an okay opener, and then let's go and keep the show going. So I don't have too much to say to it. Everyone was great. Paul Heyman was great. We didn't get a Paul Heyman intro though. That I thought sucked. I love the over-the-top Paul Heyman intros.
Yeah.
But there was no shenanigans, no Usos, no run-ins at all for this match, and I thought that was good. Just good, clean, and Bill lost to the guillotine in the middle of the ring.
Got choked out. It's by a man that's 10, 15 years younger than him, and in tip-top shape. The ending was believable. I gave it a 2 count.
You did give it a 2. Yeah.
I gave it a 2 count. It was the opening match. It was a good opening match. Like I said, I pretty much will echo everything that you said about it. I didn't have a problem with it.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Aside from the fact that we knew that Goldberg wasn't going to take the strap off of him.
No.
And we knew that because of what you mentioned, that Goldberg alluded that this may be his last match. So if this was Goldberg's last match, which I hope it's not. I mean, he doesn't wrestle even a part-time schedule. He makes appearances. Right. I would love to see Goldberg again. I would love to see somebody get jackhammered and pin 1, 2, 3. So if Dolph Ziggler, if you happen to hear this, volunteer to be jackhammered and get that 1, 2, 3, so we can feel nostalgia and feel what we felt when we watched Goldberg in 1998, 1999.
Well said.